Honey Heart C.
Hey, Manny fans, let's do another Stablemate customizing. So I've got this horse crazy surprise blind bag. So this bag has one of these 4 stablemates. It will be a complete surprise which one it will be. This little blind bag has everything you need to paint your very own little stablemate. So let's open up this horse crazy surprise and see which one we're gonna be painting.
All right, so who's it gonna be? Who's it gonna be? Open it up, let's see.
It has a little cutty right here. Okay, we'll go ahead and we'll open it right here.
Open, and it looks like we've got the little dressage Andalusian. Perfect.
Okay, so we've got our completely blank horse that is all ready to be painted. Inside our kit, we've got this little instruction booklet that gives you tips on how to customize your stablemate, how to do shading, and different type of facial markings.
Awesome.
Inside of the bag, we also have our paint pots right here in white, black, and brown. And we've got our little paintbrush. There we go, nice and sharp. So in my previous Horse Crazy Surprise Stablemate blind bag, I painted this little guy right here as a beautiful, beautiful little paint horse with using just the paints in this set. So today, let's mix up some of the colors and create a super cool horse for this awesome mold. Here we go. Okay, I'm gonna open up my paint here. So I think for this horse this horse right here, what we're gonna do,
since I already made a pinto,
we are gonna make a cool leopard Appaloosa. So the very first thing that I'm gonna do, now I know the horse is painted white already, but this is kind of like a grayishy base coat white. I'm going to actually paint the horse white with the white paint, you know, to keep it all smooth and all painted. And I'm dipping my paint in the paint and then in lots of water because I want the coat to go on nice and smooth, not too thick at all.
Don't forget those leggies, oh yeah. Don't forget the face and the muzzle.
Okay, now I'm going to let him dry. Now he's all dry, so I'm gonna do another coat of white on him. So now I'm gonna take a little bit of some wax paper. I'm gonna open up my white and my brown. All right, so I got my brown and I've got my white here. So to create like the perfect little leopard Appaloosa, we're gonna add some shading in. So I'm gonna take a little bit of my white here and I'm gonna put it on my paper. A bit of some brown as well. I'm gonna mix the 2 colors together a little bit here to kind of lighten up my brown. Paint on my legs on my horse. And I'm gonna dip my paintbrush in a lot of water too to help me kind of smooth out some of this paint. There we go. So I can kind of get this little speckly kind of pattern going on here. And don't forget to go all the way around the leg. If you take a look at my brush, you can see that it's kind of frayed out a little bit instead of all close and together. So I'm going to take that and just kind of speckle around my horse's face a little bit. And I'm kind of going to go up the legs, doing the same thing, keeping the brush nice and dry. Don't forget to do both sides. So now the horse looks super speckly and it looks super messy, and that's okay. So I'm going to take a little bit of my brown and mix it in with my white. I'm going to dip it in water, and I'm kind of going to now do like a wash on the leg here, so it just blends in.
Color blending.
So this way it kind of blends the colors in a little bit here, so a little bit.
About our muzzle a little bit.
Now I'm going to add in a little bit of some white along with some water to kind of wash some of this brown markings in. So keep on doing these little washes of white on your horse, even on his face. There we go. So now I'm going to do another wash with the brown over the legs to kind of get that color back in. So there's just like a lot of washing that I do to get the colors to blend and to mix. So that leg looks really good. There's a lot of beautiful fading that's going on. Just gotta make sure we get it all the way around to have that fading continue. And then we'll just do that on all the legs.
Do 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 do.
So we are looking really good. We're all dry. So I'm mixing up some of my brown and some of my white to kind of make some color for us to start painting some of the mane on. I'm gonna put a little bit of some color into the mane, some random little pieces I'm just going to paint. And it's gonna look very streaky at first until we kind of do some more color washing on his mane. This model right here has a super, super long forelock of hair. So I'm going to paint it all the way down here. So he looks incredibly streaky. And we want to make sure that our hair connects on this side of our model as well so we can see it. His mane growing right out of his body. So there we go. So we can determine also with his tail how streaky we want his tail to be. So before I can continue painting his tail, you can see that I only halfway painted it white because that's where I've been holding it.
La da na 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 na, just paint with white, that will fix that.
Now the fun part. Now we're gonna add in some spots onto our beautiful beautiful, beautiful model. So I'm gonna take my paintbrush and I'm gonna dip it into the brown and I'm gonna mix it into some of this other color that we kind of mixed up here. And I'm going to take my paintbrush, and I know it's frayed like that, and I'm just going to basically grab it with my fingers and flick it like this. And as you can see, it creates little paint splatters all around. So we are just going to paint splatter the model just like that. Paint splatter.
La la la, paint splatter. Do 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 do.
Perfect. So you just want to do a little bit at a time. All right, we'll turn him around. We'll start getting this part of his body all speckly.
Speckle, speckle, speckle. La da 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 da.
And don't forget to keep your brush fairly on the drier side. You don't want it to be too wet, or else the flicky marks can be a little bit too flicky. Like you'll leave like a streak, like a comet streak. Ooh, he's looking so good though. And if you do happen to get some of those like comet looking little stripies, just cover it with a little bit of some white and it blends right in with your horse's coat. So he's looking good. So now we're gonna add on some bigger spots onto our Appaloosa. So I'm gonna take a little bit of my brown here onto my brush, just like that. Now you can practice doing some spots. You just wanna lightly touch your paper or your horse to create tiny little spots or one big. But the whole thing is you want to make sure you've got a lot of paint on your brush so it makes a nice little circly spot. So go ahead and now just pick where you want your spots to go and just paint them on. And you can really water some of your spots down and also paint on some spots. The little watered down spots can be where we have bigger spots. So this is kind of the mapping around them. Or if you already have some big spots from whenever you were spraying your paint, you can go over them with the lighter paint. Just don't forget to do the other side of your horse. Just go back over your bigger, lighter spots with your darker paint to create your spots that have mapping around them. Perfect. Of course, we're gonna put on a little bit of some spots on our legs. Just a little bit, just a few here and there. And can't forget about our face markings. All right, so the body is now looking awesome. So now it's time for us to work back on our mane and tail because it looks like a mess right now, but it's okay. So I've got some white on my brush. And now I'm just gonna kind of come in here and I'm gonna dip a little bit of some brown on my brush too. And this will kind of add like a little bit of some streaking going on here, like this.
Do 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 do.
So in between the mane that we haven't painted, I'm just painting it now this cream color. And don't forget to do the other side of the mane as well. And we'll do the front part of hair.
Do 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 do.
All right, so the horse is looking good. Now I think for this horse's tail, what I'm gonna do is I'm going to do a little bit of some tan here towards the bottom of the tail, completely on both sides. All right, and then just let this dry. So let's keep adding on more and more shading and washes onto our mane and tail because we really want this color to just blend, blend, blend. So by using a little bit of some white dunked in some water, it really helps to just pool the color and do some blending. See, here we have a little bit of some white on the tail. So I'm just going to take some water and blend it in just like that. And see, it really fades the color so pretty. I'm gonna do the same thing to the mane. So I'm gonna add in some white again, kind of lighten it up, mix in a bit of some brown, and it eventually just kind of starts taking on its own little pattern. And of course, we're gonna add some more brown to the tail. So here now we have his hair after I did several washes in it. So now it looks like it's got some really cool highlights and fading going on. So same thing with his tail here too. It looks really awesome how it's all faded. Okay, so now while we are waiting for him to dry, we can still do a couple extra things. Now we're gonna give the horse his eyes already. So I'm gonna take a little dab of my black, mix it with a little touch of white. Now because this is a thicker brush that comes in this set, I'm going to kind of flatten it out a little bit so it kind of creates a little bit of an edge, as you can kind of see here. So that way I can paint a little bit on the tip and paint the eye in. So very, very, very carefully, I'm going to paint in the eye of this horse using the tip of this brush. There we go. His eye looks pretty good. Flip him on over. Let's do this side now. A little careful painting of the eye. There we go. Perfect. Now to add a little extra touch, I'm going to take just a dab of brown. I'm going to flatten my brush again, and I'm going to very carefully paint just a little doot of brown. There we go. So we got a little bit of brown in his eye. We'll do the other side. Just a little. There we go. So there's a little bit of brown. Now we're gonna take just the tiniest amount of black, and this is pure black, it's not mixed with any white or anything, and add one more little doop right in the middle of the brown. Doop. Do you see it? Do you see his eye? He's got a little bit of black. Whoop, and there's that side. Perfect. Okay, so now one of the funnest parts is putting on our little leg markings. So now we can determine if we want this horse to have socks, stockings, or whatever we want on it, and how much. I'm gonna take a dip of white on the brush, and looking at the feet here, looks like I'm going to give this little guy a bit of some white here on its hoof. All right, so it looks like he's got a little sock right there. We'll do a little bit on this foot as well.
Just a little teeny tiny bit.
Okay, and I think he's good. So he's got 2 little markings on him. Now these 2 hooves are going to be the same color because they both have the marking on them. And these 2 hoofs are going to be their own color because they don't have any white on them. So I'm going to take a dip of black, mix with some of my brown, and I'm going to mix it together to create a hoof color. It's like a grayishy brown. So I'm going to take a bit of this little hoof mixture, and I'm going to carefully now paint the back hoof that does not have any white on it, and the front hoof also that doesn't have any white.
Don't forget the underside of the hoof.
Now to paint the other hoofs, I'm going to take my brush, dip it into the white. I'm going to mix it with a touch of brown so I can get a natural hoof color. There we go, should be good. And now we're just going to paint this on the hoof. Perfect. Can't forget the bottom and the other hoof. Just kind of glide the side of your brush against the hoof to create the natural shape of a hoof. All right, so now we're gonna let those cutesy-wootsy little feetsies dry. Now, one of the last things we're gonna do is add a little bit more detail on our little hooves that have our little white on them. So I'm gonna take a little bit of my black here, mix with some of my white, because I wanna create a gray, and mix them together. Okay, I'm gonna dip my brush in some water. All right, so now my brush is nice and wet, and I dipped it on a paper towel. So now it will look really streaky on our horse's hoof, and I'm just going to add a little bit of some lines in, like natural lines in their hoof. So there we go, a little bit of some natural streaking. Perfect, perfect.
So let's check out this beautiful new custom. Oh, he is gorgeous. Okay, so we can see him in here. He absolutely turned out perfectly. I'm really happy with the blending of his mane and tail. Okay, and his coat color is absolutely beautiful. I love all of the speckling. It absolutely turned out brilliantly beautiful. So he's so cute, and I hope that you enjoyed this video. It was really fun opening up one of those Stablemate Surprise and painting it, because I think he totally turned out. Oh, here's another one of the little Stablemate Surprise horses that I painted. If you would like to see the video for that one, check out my DIY playlist on my channel, and you can see exactly how I painted this horse. If you happen to paint any of these Stablemate Surprise bags, please send me your video or your pictures. I would love to see your horses and how you painted them. Don't forget to subscribe, mini fans, for more DIY Breyer fun videos, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye! Minis, how well were you paying attention to the video? How many of his legs had the white markings on them? I forgot. Was it all 4 of them? 3, 2, 1 leg? How many of them had the white markings that I painted on? Put your answer below in the comments. Bye, speckly minis.